I never would have imagined in my wildest dreams. My very first business trip with a stunning female CEO would end up with me in her bed. In a panic, I tried to sever all ties, thinking that proud and untouchable CEO would simply hand me a resignation letter. But instead, she looked like an abandoned little puppy, chasing after me for a title. She grabbed my wrist tightly. "You've already slept with me," she said. "And now you want to pretend nothing happened?" When I woke up, it felt like the sky had caved in. I looked at my bare body under the blanket, then at Taylor's back as she stood by the floor-to-ceiling window. And my whole soul screamed, "Error 404, life not found." Oh my God, why am I here? Didn't I book a standard room? When did I teleport to the presidential suite of my boss? I rolled around nervously under the blanket. Taylor heard the rustling and turned around, her voice as elegant and calm as ever. "Awake?" I hummed a faint, "Yeah." How can she sound so composed? Meanwhile, my insides were a chaotic rock concert. Taylor spoke coolly. "If you're awake, get up and eat something. I just ordered hotel breakfast." "Okay." I pretended to be calm. But inside, I was screaming, rolling, and face-palming in HD. She was acting as if nothing had happened, asking me to have breakfast. For crying out loud. Too calm, suspiciously calm. Wasn't she supposed to be that icy CEO everyone feared at the office? The one who rarely spoke and froze entire meetings with a single glance. I stole glances at her expression, while fumbling around for my clothes. Then Taylor tossed me a robe. And that's when I realized she was wearing one too. Our clothes were scattered all over the floor like battlefield debris. Silently, I slipped on the robe, too embarrassed to look at her directly. She stepped away from the bed and headed to the bathroom. "I'm going to wash up." When the door clicked shut, I finally exhaled, splashing cold water on my face. I tried to get my brain back online, but everything inside was still scrambled. What the hell did I do? Did I really sleep with my boss? My boss. I looked in the mirror. My face flushed, hair a mess, a few suspicious marks still on my stomach. Every piece of evidence pointed to the same crime scene. I really had slept with Taylor. What happened last night? I remembered. It was my first business trip with Taylor. After we sealed the deal, the client invited us to dinner. I helped her block a few rounds of alcohol. And after that, blank, total system shut down. Was it me who made the first move, or her? Or did we both crash into each other? How did we end up going from my standard room to her presidential suite? I wanted to die. After taking forever to shower and breathing deeply about 10 times, I finally dared to open the door. Taylor was fully dressed, sitting neatly at the table, having breakfast like nothing happened. She looked up when she heard me. I clutched the edge of the robe, wishing I could just disappear into the floor. She pointed at the plate on the table. "Come eat, it'll get cold. If anything's getting cold, it's my soul." I shuffled toward the table like a prisoner on death row. The 5-meter distance from the bathroom to the table took me 10 full minutes. Her gaze followed me, from my feet up to my waist, finally pausing at somewhere awkward. She frowned. "Too rough last night?" I frowned too. "Huh? Rough what?" Then it hit me. She thought I was walking funny because my back hurt. My face burned crimson, my ears on fire. I wanted to explain, but where would I even start? Better to just shut up and eat. After finishing her meal, she simply said, "Take your time," then crouched down to pick up our scattered clothes. I'd barely taken 2 bites when I heard her clear her throat. "Peter." I looked up. "Did you bring any spare clothes?" she asked. I glanced at the tattered remains of my outfit on the floor and muttered, mortified, "My clothes from yesterday, can't wear them anymore. They were ripped by you." Taylor knelt on one knee, looking up at me, a posture way too suggestive for my fragile heart. Damn it, what am I even thinking? I froze. I ripped it? No way. I'm a good guy. I don't do wild stuff like that. You must have ripped it yourself, boss. She let out a helpless sigh. You really did. Her tone didn't waver. You did it. She surrendered first. Arguing about this is pointless anyway. Luckily, I always pack extra clothes on business trips. I plan to go back to my standard room and grab my luggage. But then Taylor stared at the robe I was wearing, raised an eyebrow, and said, "You're planning to walk out like that?" I looked down. The hotel robe was snow white, deep V-neck, slit high on the thigh, and my neck was covered in hickeys. My whole body heated up like a boiling kettle. What kind of serious hotel gives out robes like this? I hesitated at the door. Honestly, I could just make a dash for it. With a bit of luck, no one would see me. Gritting my teeth, I opened the door. Before I could step out, her hand grabbed my wrist. "Give me your room card." I blinked in surprise. Wait, is she offering to get my clothes for me? That didn't sound like the Taylor I knew. Yesterday, on the business trip, I was dragging my suitcase and carrying my briefcase. When we went through security, I was juggling everything, and asked her to hold my briefcase for a second. She just gave me one cold look, frowning as she said, "You can't even organize your files and luggage properly." In the end, she did help, but that tight frown and those pursed lips screamed, "I'm out of patience." I'd drawn my own conclusion. CEO Taylor hates being inconvenienced. And now, she's offering to help me? Seeing me frozen in place, Taylor assumed I hadn't heard clearly. She repeated calmly, "I'll get it, you just eat." Still stunned, I handed her the room card and sat back down at the table. By now, the breakfast was ice cold. Not that I felt like eating anyway. Not long after, Taylor returned, pulling my suitcase behind her. "Thanks," I muttered. I dragged the suitcase into the bathroom and quickly changed into clean clothes. In my head, I'd already rehearsed what to say to her. First, confirm the fact that, yeah, we did it. Then, depending on how she reacted, I'd adjust accordingly. If she showed the slightest hint of affection, well, lucky me. She's gorgeous, smart, and way out of my league. But if not? Meh, no hard feelings. We're adults, no drama needed. Besides, it's not like I lost anything here. If anything, I came out ahead. Just as I opened my mouth to bring it up, she cut in. "Let's go, the car's waiting downstairs." Her voice had turned cold again. Her eyes serious. Completely different from earlier, when she'd told me to eat breakfast or fetched my luggage. The icy CEO mask was back on. I closed my mouth. Right, this was the real Taylor. What happened earlier must have just been an exception. Turns out I was overthinking it. But hey, it's fine, I'm chill. I got a big win without losing anything. On the flight back, Taylor sat with her eyes closed, resting. I tilted my head slightly, stealing a glance at her flawless collarbone, her soft lips, and that breathtakingly refined face. My gaze slid lower, to the form-hugging dress tracing every perfect curve. That little pep talk about letting it go suddenly felt a lot harder to follow. But then I remembered her indifferent tone earlier, and forced the thought away. She's my boss. Work comes first. I still need this job. No way I'm risking it over one night. So the entire trip back, I kept my expression neutral, never mentioning last night again. And she acted like nothing had happened, too. Ah yes, the unspoken understanding of adults. I exhaled silently. At the airport, the company car was already waiting. Just as I was about to get in, Taylor glanced at me and said coolly, "You don't have to come to the office this afternoon." I froze halfway through, feeling like I'd just been tossed aside the moment I was no longer useful. This is what they call burning the bridge after crossing the river, or worse, killing the hunting dog once the rabbit's caught. Damn, that's cold. Just yesterday, I'd signed a huge contract with her. Even helped her block drinks at the dinner table. Maybe I didn't earn glory, but at least I sweated for it. And now she's brushing me off, just because we slept together? Who knows who actually made the first move last night? For all I know, she's the one who ate me. My fist clenched tighter. The more I thought about it, the more pissed off I got. Grinding my teeth, I turned to her and snapped. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Taylor frowned slightly, hesitated for a beat, then said coolly, "You've been working hard lately with all these business trips. Take half a day off. Go home and rest." A string of snarky comebacks almost burst out of me. But I swallowed them back down. My voice came out soft, polite. "Thank you, President Taylor. Long live the CEO." Back home, my mood flipped 180 degrees. I sprawled on the couch, humming off-key. Ordered hot pot delivery and a big cup of milk tea. God, it had been ages since I'd treated myself to this much calorie-packed happiness. I threw on Netflix, ate while binge-watching something mindless, and lived my best lazy life. An indulgent afternoon like this? Perfect. Well, except when I showered that night and saw faint marks across my abs. They looked suspiciously like bite marks. Yep, dog bites. Her bites. The next morning, I strutted into the office in high spirits. But the second I stepped inside, something felt off. The usually rowdy floor was dead silent. Everyone sat stiff and serious. Even Donald, the guy who could gossip in his sleep, was sitting ramrod straight, eyes glued to his monitor, fingers tapping furiously. I leaned over and whispered, "What's going on? A surprise inspection from the higher-ups?" Donald shushed me dramatically, sneaking a glance toward the break room, then nodding at Taylor's office. He lowered his voice. "Isn't it because of her?" I blinked. "You mean, Taylor?" He nodded, smirked, then bolted toward the break room. All morning, he ran back and forth between his desk and the pantry 8 times. I didn't get it. So what if she's in there? Maybe she's just thirsty. Donald rolled his eyes at me. In Taylor's office, she's got everything: wine, coffee, sparkling water. Why on earth would she need to fight us for the communal pantry? Right on cue, Taylor emerged from the break room, holding a glass of water. Her cold gaze swept across the entire office, lingered on our corner for exactly 1 second, then returned to her office without a word. Every single back that had been stiff straight suddenly shrunk. The rapid-fire keyboard tapping died instantly. The scene was so absurdly funny. I couldn't help but snort out a laugh. Donald jabbed his elbow into my ribs, furious. "You can still laugh? Are you blind?" She came out on purpose to check if we're actually working. Then he gritted his teeth. "Damn capitalists." I waved my hand, still chuckling. "Come on, it's not that serious. Taylor's swamped with work. She's not free enough to play workplace spy." But then, a thought hit me like cold water. No, she didn't come out to monitor everyone. She came out to monitor me. Of course. She's worried I'll blab about what happened 2 nights ago. If rumors spread, her image would take a massive hit. A young, beautiful, cool-headed CEO like her, with a sky-high career trajectory. How could she afford to get caught in a scandal? With a male subordinate? If someone with bad intentions twisted the story, they could even make it sound like she was the one pulling shady strings. That's why she's been appearing so often. Not because she cares if the team's working hard. She's just keeping an eye on me. The realization hit hard. My grin froze. And suddenly, laughing didn't feel that easy anymore. Donald saw my face turn serious, mistook it for enlightenment, and whispered, "Now you believe it, huh? Seems like no one dares to let their guard down these days. There's always a pair of eyes staring right at you." Well, to be fair, there really was someone staring. A chill crept down the back of my neck, making me instinctively shrink my shoulders. The following days, I was extra cautious, hiding from Taylor like a quail in a snowstorm, doing my best to lower my sense of existence. And more than that, I noticed her mood lately wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows. She didn't even have to say a word, just standing there was enough to freeze the air solid. The whole office atmosphere dropped a few degrees. People even breathed like they were afraid of committing a crime by accident. That day, the deputy general manager summoned me. Turned out, the joint project between our company and another partner was approaching its final inspection. Someone needed to go check it out. But the colleague who'd been in charge from the beginning suddenly took sick leave. And the deadline couldn't be pushed back. So, the deputy GM told me to go with the CEO. To be honest, this project wasn't mine in the first place. So I couldn't care less. Sure, I could earn some business trip allowance if I went. But if there was any mistake during the inspection and I signed off, I'd be in trouble later. Totally not worth it. I was about to refuse. But then I thought about the suffocating atmosphere in the office lately. And in the end, I gritted my teeth and agreed. The CEO told me to pack up and wait at home. The car would come pick me up soon. I happily said yes and dashed home. Before I left, my colleagues shot me looks full of envy. I couldn't help feeling a bit lucky. Sure, it was a business trip, but at least I'd get a temporary break from that human iceberg. I packed quickly, and before long, the driver called. I dragged my suitcase downstairs to find a black business van waiting. I threw my luggage into the trunk, opened the back door. Huh? Was I seeing things? Why was Taylor sitting inside? What the heck? Were we dropping her off at the company before heading out? I was still hesitating when she glanced over and said coolly, "Not getting in?" I scrambled into the car. Inside, there were only 3 of us, the driver, her, and me. No CEO in sight. I mustered my courage to ask, I thought I was going with the CEO?" Taylor replied flatly, "He's stuck in an urgent meeting. I'll go with you." I was speechless. Seriously? A small project like this, did the big boss really need to tag along? While I was still processing that, my phone buzzed. A message from Donald. "Good news, Alba's out on a business trip. I can finally breathe again." I curled my lips and typed back, "Bad news. Alba's on that business trip with me." My mood plummeted faster than the temperature in a freezer. Donald went quiet for a moment, then sent a pitiful emoji, followed by, "But hey, don't forget to fart. Holding it in is bad for your health." I snapped back with one word. Scram. The entire ride, I leaned as close to the door as possible, careful not to accidentally touch her. 5 hours in, my eyelids were getting heavier and heavier. Upper and lower lids waging an all-out war. I snuck a glance. She had her eyes closed too, resting. So I relaxed and let myself drift off. I must have slept pretty soundly. Because when the car stopped, it was Taylor's voice that jerked me awake. I looked up to find myself still sitting straight. Posture proper and respectful. Not a single ounce of impropriety. I let out a long sigh of relief, feeling at ease when the driver helped carry my and Taylor's luggage down from the car. I thanked him, then turned my head to look at her. She was holding her right sleeve with one hand, the movement a little stiff and unnatural. I asked with concern, "Taylor, what happened to your arm?" As a subordinate, showing some concern for my boss didn't hurt. Taylor glanced at me, her face calm and composed. "It's nothing." "Good then," I told myself, deciding not to ask any further. After all, it wasn't really my business anyway. Then we headed to the hotel together. As I pressed the elevator button, I accidentally noticed that the sleeve she'd been covering earlier was slightly wet. And there was a faint red mark, like a bite. I reflexively touched my own lips. Could it be a trace left after last night's passion? I stole another quick glance at her sleeve. No way, that would be too much, right? This is getting awkward. The doubt lingered in my mind, but Taylor stayed silent. So I pretended I hadn't seen anything. The person in charge arranged for Taylor to stay in a luxurious presidential suite, while I, thanks to a bit of luck by association, got a room right next door. That evening, the partner company invited Taylor to a banquet. The big boss himself showed up, a rare occasion, so the feast was extravagant. And the wine was top shelf. Everyone came over to toast her. At first, Taylor politely declined. But soon she couldn't refuse anymore and ended up drinking several glasses. Watching the scene, I immediately understood, it was time for me to step in. This is exactly why bosses bring subordinates to these dinners, isn't it? So I started drinking on her behalf. The wine was truly exquisite, its aroma rich and smooth. After the meal, everyone was either slumped over the table or staggering around. Even I began to feel my legs go weak. The project leader patted my shoulder, slurring, "Peter, you can really hold your liquor, we're drinking soulmates. Brother, this wine, what a knockout." My head was spinning as I patted his shoulder back. "Next time, let's..." Before I could even finish, Taylor grabbed me up, her face like a sheet of ice. You're drunk, I'll take you back. Being pulled along, I stumbled and instinctively held onto her. Oh, such beauty, right in front of me. I couldn't help it, my hand gave her a little squeeze. God, it felt incredible. My palm even followed the curve down, brushing against her slender waist. In an instant, she gripped my hand tightly. Her voice trembled slightly, her teeth almost grinding. What are you doing? I just touched it once. Don't be so stingy. I tilted my head up, and my eyes met the sight of two mesmerizing curves and her perfectly sculpted features. From this angle, she was breathtaking. My vision blurred, I momentarily forgot where I was. Taylor's face remained cold as she turned to the others. That's enough for tonight, everyone, head back and rest. That snapped me back to reality, there were still people around. God, I hope no one saw that just now. She supported me toward the elevator. My legs felt like jelly, stumbling as if I'd collapse any moment. Her long arm wrapped under my armpit, steadying my back, and my body nearly fell entirely against hers. Thankfully, there was no one else in the elevator. I tilted my head to sneak a look at her. Rosy cheeks, red lips tightly pressed together. So beautiful it made my heart race and my mind blur. I couldn't help it, I wrapped my arm around her again. Peter, what are you doing? Your room's here, go in already. Why are you following me? Trying to take advantage of me just because you're drunk? Let go, you. Don't you always call yourself some kind of pure good boy? Can't you have a little self-control? Don't rip my shirt. Easy, you bandit. Her voice trembled in anger. I silenced her with a forceful kiss. Shut up, just focus. When I woke up, I was already lying in bed, my whole body weak and sore. I turned my head, only to see Taylor sitting on the sofa by the window. Her cold gaze locked on me. I shivered. The scariest thing wasn't that icy look. It was the fact that I remembered everything that happened last night. Every detail was crystal clear. How I got into her room. How the clothes were torn apart. How I pinned her down on the bed. Every move, every sensation was etched vividly in my mind. God, did I drink fake liquor or something? Why didn't I black out like usual? Normally after drinking, I'd just pass out obediently. So why is it that every time she's involved, I turn into some kind of beast? Shame and guilt tangled in my chest. I didn't even dare look her in the eyes. Hiding under the blanket, I mumbled, Taylor, could you hand me a shirt? A bathrobe was tossed over. I quickly slipped it on and hid in the bathroom, letting water pour down my head. In the mirror, I punched my face hard, over and over. Peter, you idiot. You were just supposed to drink for her. You know your limits, don't you? Last time was bad enough, and now again? Who messes up the same way twice? I lingered in the bathroom for a long time. But I couldn't hide forever. Sooner or later, I had to face her. I sat down opposite Taylor. Taylor? I hadn't even figured out what to say when she spoke first. Hungry yet? Want to eat something? Her expression was calm, and she even smiled at me. There it was. That weird version of Taylor again. The icy queen, smiling. Terrifying. That smile, sharp like a blade hidden in velvet. A chill ran down my spine. I was certain this was it, my end had come. Desperately trying to find a way to survive, I stammered. I was wrong, Taylor. Let's just pretend last night never happened, okay? I swear I won't tell anyone. I bowed my head, voice trembling despite my best efforts to sound steady. Taylor said nothing. The silence that night felt like a lonely bridge. I couldn't help sneaking a glance. Why did her expression look a little hurt? Even wronged? You've slept with me twice now, and you're saying you won't take responsibility? What? My eyes widened. I hadn't expected that. This was so different from the cold, untouchable Taylor in my mind. Wasn't she supposed to throw a check at me and say, "Get out, don't ever show your face again"? Her gaze pierced straight through me. I swallowed hard, stammering. Then, how do you want me to take responsibility? She was silent for a moment, then said, "At the very least, give me a title." A title? I thought I'd misheard her. I forced a weak laugh. Taylor, you're kidding, right? My fingers twisted the corner of my robe until the fabric wrinkled. Do I look like I'm joking to you? She stood up, walked right up to me, leaned down, and looked straight into my eyes. Can't I? Her loose robe shifted with her movement. The neckline slipping down. Soft skin, flawless curves, right in front of me. I averted my eyes instantly, flustered. Let me think about it. The second the words left my mouth, regret hit me like a truck. Think about it? Really? She's stunning, perfect body, rich. And on top of that, mind-blowing look good in bed. What the hell was I hesitating for? But I'd already said it. Wouldn't changing my mind now make me seem like some flaky jerk? I bit my lip and told myself I'd just pretend to think for a few days. Next time she brought it up, I'd agree immediately. But I'd miscalculated. After that day, Taylor never mentioned it again. A week passed. She remained as cold and distant at work as ever. And I skillfully maintained that neat superior-subordinate distance, carefully avoiding any private interaction. I analyzed it myself. That day when she asked for a title, she must have just been caught up in the heat of the moment. Now that she's cooled down, of course she regrets it. As expected, a total player. I shot a glare toward her office. Women really do change faster than the wind. Sure, I was the one who pushed her down that night. But hey, one hand can't clap on its own. She's the one who looked that good. How was I supposed to resist? I was just drunk and made a mistake. A mistake any man in the world could have made. The more I thought about it, the more it burned. I gritted my teeth. I had to quit drinking. Turning heartbreak into motivation. I threw myself into work, refusing to let my mind wander. If I can't have the woman, then I'll get the money. And sure enough, hard work pays off. This month, I crushed my targets and ranked #1 in the entire department. For the first time, I received a company bonus. Holding that bonus slip, I almost cried. Ah yes, money never betrays you. Overjoyed, I called my colleagues out for a celebration, planning to treat them. But to my surprise, they said, "Save that cash. The company's hosting a team building in a few days. Food and drinks are on the house." My colleagues were too kind. I was genuinely touched. I waited eagerly, and finally, the day of the team building arrived. The destination, a barbecue camping site. The company even rented a bus for everyone. The moment we arrived, everyone's eyes lit up. Wow, the company really went all out. The place was gorgeous, amazing food. A romantic setup. Long tables covered with white cloth. And all kinds of delicious dishes laid out. This time the admin team actually did something right. Donald rolled up his sleeves enthusiastically. I just learned how to make a fruit cocktail recently. And look, everything we need is here. I'll make some for everyone. Do it, we have to try it. Everyone jumped in to help. Some opened bottles, some chopped fruit. Before long, a tray of chilled fruit cocktails was ready. Donald added ice, then handed me a glass. "Peter, come on, try this." I was about to take it. But then I remembered my sacred vow to quit drinking. I quickly pulled my hand back. "I'm not drinking, I've quit recently." Donald stared at me, wide-eyed. "Quit drinking? Did I just hallucinate? You quit drinking?" I nodded firmly. "Booze messes everything up, I'm done." Donald shrugged and downed the drink himself. "All right then, more for me." "Too bad though." His cocktail was so good. She took a sip and sighed. "It's so delicious." I swallowed hard, my voice trembling. Don't tempt me." But temptation was my fatal weakness. The barbecue feast began. My colleagues were grilling and praising Donald's cocktails like crazy. Who knew he had skills like this? And they were right, the drink tasted like fruity soda. Even someone like me, who normally doesn't like alcohol, could easily down a few cups. Heavenly. I munched on barbecue, sneaking glances at the drink. Everyone said it was basically soda. One little glass couldn't hurt, right? But I just solemnly declared to Donald that I'd quit drinking. If I drank now, wouldn't that be slapping myself in the face? Inside my head, two little devils wrestled fiercely. In the end, temptation won. Fine, just one glass. I'll drink in secret so Donald won't notice. Just one taste. I quietly grabbed a cup, waited until Donald wasn't looking, and poured it full. Then I slipped away, hiding behind a tree with my precious drink. Ha ha ha, alcohol is the essence of life. The more you drink, the younger you get. My fairy tale days start now. I raised the glass, about to take a sip. And then, a hand suddenly snatched the glass right out of mine. I looked up, only to see Taylor's face, magnified and uncomfortably close. She raised the glass, frowning. Do you even know what you're like after drinking? From now on, no more alcohol outside of work. I was speechless. Way too controlling, seriously. She was just my boss, not my wife. Why did she think she could tell me whether I could drink or not? I rolled my eyes discreetly, then plastered on a fake smile as I turned back. Taylor, what are you doing here? Didn't you say you were too busy to come today? She replied casually. I finished work early, thought I'd drop by. Her sudden arrival sucked some of the energy out of the lively atmosphere. She must have noticed too, so after clinking a few glasses with the others, she excused herself, saying she had something to do. I turned away, secretly exhaling in relief. But before I could fully catch my breath, her voice rang out behind me. I've had a few drinks, and it's pretty hard to get a ride out here. Anyone available to give me a lift? Everyone exchanged glances. Then, like dominoes falling, all their eyes landed squarely on me. A bad feeling surged up in my chest. And sure enough, the colleagues who'd been so nice just moments ago betrayed me without hesitation. We all drank. I think Peter's the only one who didn't. Plus, he just got his license. He's good to drive. I slowly turned my head and saw Taylor nodding. Perfect, I actually have a few questions about the last project for Donald. With one sentence, she cut off every escape route I had. Expressionless, I gripped the steering wheel of the Ferrari, staring dead ahead. Whatever, there was nothing to talk about between us anyway. I'd just drop her off and be done with it. The car was silent. Only the GPS voice and the sound of our breathing filled the space. Painfully awkward. I wanted to say something, but in this kind of situation, whoever spoke first lost. I clenched my jaw and held the line. According to the navigation, there were still 40 minutes to go. Time stretched like an eternity. I sat on pins and needles, wishing I could sprout wings and fly away. Lost in thought, I didn't notice her turning toward me. Want to listen to some music? I froze for a second, then nodded quickly. Music was definitely better than this tension. She switched on the sound system. And that's when I noticed, her fingers were long and slender. Joints clearly defined. What would they feel like against someone's skin? Wait, what was I thinking? Snapping back to reality, my face burned hot, even my ears felt scorched. Taylor glanced at me. Hot? No, not hot. I forced a calm expression, staring straight ahead like a disciplined soldier. Desperate to distract myself, I suddenly realized the song playing was familiar. You like this song too? Taylor responded with a soft hum. Just started liking it recently. My mood lifted immediately. This artist has a few more really good songs. I totally recommend them. This one? She switched the track. I nodded eagerly. Yes, that's the one. I didn't expect our music tastes to match this well. Taylor just gave a slight smile and said nothing. Panic flickered in my chest. Did she think I was trying to flirt? I reined myself in, limiting our conversation to a few random, harmless comments for the rest of the drive. Thankfully, 40 minutes passed quickly. We arrived at the gate of her apartment complex. I asked, Taylor, should I drive in? She seemed lost in thought. I had to repeat the question before she snapped out of it. Yeah, drive down to the basement. I followed her directions, parked the car, and was about to grab my phone and leave. But then she called out. Peter, could I trouble you to walk me upstairs? I froze. Huh? Seeing the blank look on my face, she quickly pressed a hand to her forehead and explained. Maybe I'm a little dizzy. I think I might be carsick. The corner of my mouth twitched. Carsick? In a luxury car? Seriously? But since it was the boss talking, I couldn't exactly refuse her. So I supported Taylor as we entered the elevator. She couldn't walk steadily, half of her weight leaning against me, so I naturally let her arm rest on my shoulder. "Boss, are you carsick or tipsy? You can barely stand," I teased. Taylor blinked blankly. I smirked slightly. "If I remember correctly, you were drinking fruit wine earlier, weren't you?" She coughed lightly, looking uncomfortable. Thankfully, we'd already arrived at her place. I guided Taylor inside, set her down on the sofa, and grabbed my phone, ready to make a quick exit. "All right, I'll head out now," I said. But before I could turn around, Taylor grabbed my wrist. "Peter, that was a long drive. You must be tired. Why don't you have a drink and rest for a bit before going?" That was not a normal invitation. Way too suspicious. I turned to look at her. Taylor avoided my gaze, got up, and fetched 2 glasses from the kitchen island. "You don't want to drink, huh? Then let me treat you," she said. She was the one offering me alcohol. Completely forgetting the lecture she gave me earlier, I narrowed my eyes at her. "Didn't you say not to drink in public places?" Her ears turned red, the blush creeping down her neck. "This isn't public, it's home, and I'm here, so it's fine." Ah, so her intentions weren't exactly pure. I stared straight at her. She avoided my eyes, fiddling with the glass. "Or if you prefer fruit wine, I can make that too," she mumbled. A thought flickered through my mind. I decided to test the waters. "Do you like me?" I asked. Taylor was silent for a beat, then turned to me. "Wasn't I obvious enough?" she replied. This time, I was the one caught off guard. "What kind of liking is that? Keeping an icy face all day and making me guess?" I blurted out my philosophy about love. "If you like someone, at least let them know." She froze slightly, then said softly, "Didn't I already tell you?" That's when it hit me. She did bring up making things official before. And back then, I'd stupidly said, "Let me think about it," instead of just saying yes. Damn, I was too stubborn for my own good. Taylor's eyes dimmed a little. "You said you'd think about it, but after half a month with no answer. And avoiding me, I thought you didn't like me." "I thought you didn't like me," I echoed, realizing how ridiculously we'd tortured ourselves for 2 weeks just because neither of us had the guts to say it outright. Finally, she asked, "So, are we drinking or not?" I looked up and nodded. Taylor's eyes lit up as she poured 2 glasses. She handed me one, her tone softer this time. "And, try not to rip my shirt again. They're expensive." I was silent. She quickly added, flustered, "Or, well, if you want, I can take it off myself. Don't worry, I'll cooperate this time, no resistance." And just like that, everything was decided. The relationship was made official. Taylor became my girlfriend. The title she'd wanted for so long was finally hers. And she seemed even happier than I was. Dragging me out for drinks all the time. I told her I'd quit drinking. Taylor's disappointment was immediate. "So that means, no more of that ripped shirt feeling, huh?" I gaped. What ripped shirt feeling? Didn't she keep saying her clothes were expensive? I ended up scouring the internet, buying a bunch of toys and a few tools. When Taylor saw me bring them out, she trembled all over. "Peter, what are you doing? Don't come any closer." In the end, nothing actually happened. She threw every single thing away. As it turned out, my strength was still pretty solid. And Taylor, thanks to all that yoga, was no weakling either. But that only raised a serious question. Those 2 incidents, before, how exactly did they even unfold? I held Taylor tightly, replaying those 2 accidents in my mind, feeling a sudden need to clear my name. I wasn't the kind of guy who lost control just because of a drink. I told her, "If you don't believe me, ask everyone in the team. They've all drunk with me before." I didn't have hard evidence, but at least I had witnesses. She frowned, and they were probably all too drunk to remember anything. I hurried to explain. "Don't get me wrong, I'm not the kind of man who gets wasted and turns into a mess. Honestly, the only time anything like that ever happened was with you." Her expression softened. She pulled me into her arms. "From now on, you're not allowed to drink anywhere I'm not around." I nodded. "No more drinking, I'm quitting for real this time. Besides, I was already the boss's darling, now. Why would I still need alcohol to make my nights interesting?" Having someone you love changes your world in the quietest, sweetest ways. Taylor, though, changed a lot more than I did. Donald whispered to me one day, "Hey, do you think Taylor fell in love or something? She's been smiling all the time lately." I stifled my laughter, secretly wondering if he'd figure it out. He shook his head, but then again, Taylor's always been kind of intimidating. No one ever dares to date her. Then he added, "I wonder what it'd be like to be Taylor's boyfriend." I thought for a moment, then said, "Probably every morning when you open your eyes, the first thing you see would be her soft, gentle smile. Working overtime now, there's always hot coffee and a late-night snack waiting on my desk. Even our little daily arguments have this honeyed warmth to them." While Donald kept rambling on, I quietly slipped my phone out of my pocket. Looking at my lock screen, a photo of Taylor sneaking a kiss on me. The corners of my mouth lifted without me realizing. Maybe this is what it feels like to be wrapped in love. Taylor's extra story. There's this bandit in our company, a guy named David. The first time we went on a business trip together, I ended up being completely ruined by him. Before that, I'd never imagined a man could behave like that after drinking. I'm 1.7 meters tall, work out all year round. Yet I couldn't even pry his hands off me. He wrapped around me like an octopus, touching everywhere. And no, I didn't catch a cold. It's just that everything below my neck was indescribable. Utter humiliation. What's worse, when he woke up the next morning, he had the audacity to act like I was the one who forced him. At one point, I even doubted whether I'd been the one who ripped my own shirt. I pretended to stay calm. It's not like I'd ever faced something like this before. While he was in the bathroom, I quickly pulled out my phone, logged into my secret account, and snooped through his social media. You see, to maintain my image as a cool, powerful CEO, I never added my subordinates as friends. But truth be told, I'd already created a backup account and had my assistant add everyone in the company. To manage people, you have to know them first. That's how you win every battle. So I snuck into that bandit, David's page, to learn more about him. After all, since we'd already slept together, I might as well take some responsibility. Besides, he was quite handsome. If he became my boyfriend, well, that wouldn't be too bad. Who would have thought? He was into CEO romance novels. His page was full of dominant CEO stories. So he and I were in the same profession, apparently. But wait, all those stories were about cold, powerful CEOs and their obedient little boyfriends. So he likes the cold type? That actually matched the image I usually project. I realized I'd been a bit too gentle earlier. Not good. Next time, I'd have to be colder to keep his interest. But that jerk avoided me completely after that night, acting like nothing had happened. As if he was terrified I'd demand responsibility. I was furious. I had to confront him somehow. When I saw him head into the vice director's office, I pretended to pour some water and casually walked by. Then I overheard he was going on another business trip with a manager. Perfect. I quickly rearranged my schedule so I could go on that same trip. As expected, his alcohol tolerance was impressive. During the dinner, I was worried he'd get drunk. But secretly, I wanted to see if he'd lose control again. And sure enough, he did. He pushed me down and tore my dress. That night, as I looked at his sleeping profile, my heart was pounding. Was that liking someone? If it was, then yes, I truly liked him. And since we'd already been so intimate, it only made sense to make it official. I tossed and turned all night, then finally decided to confess the next day. But when I asked if he could give me a proper title, he just said, "Let me think about it." I knew then, it was just a gentle rejection. A way to turn me down without hurting me outright. Back at the office, he kept avoiding me. I was heartbroken. My first confession, and I got rejected. Pathetic. I asked my friends, "What do you do when the person you like turns you down?" They teased me mercilessly, then said, "Be proactive, be persistent." Persistence, not exactly my strength. But once I decide on something, I go all in. So I went online, looking for tips. Break the ice at a reunion. Publicly announce your relationship at the company's year-end party. God, some of those ideas were so shameless I wanted to claw my eyes out. But I kept scrolling, and finally found my answer. If you want to make progress, you need a group gathering. So I decided to organize a team building event for the company. When I say I'll do something, I do it. I called HR right away, thankfully. They handled everything flawlessly. The day came, but I was a bit late because of work. When I arrived, I realized things were out of control. There were so many people. How was I supposed to get any private time with him like this? So I decided to just drag him away myself. And, well, you all know the rest. In the end, I succeeded. I got the title I wanted. Became his official wife. Anyway, enough rambling. My husband's about to get home from overtime. Dinner's ready on the table. Time for me to take a shower. And then, well, that part's not for kids. So I'll stop right here.